Start with the prayers. Om Bhadram Karnebhi Shrunayama Devaha Bhadram Pashe Makshabhiryajatraha Stirairangaihi Stuštuvagam Sastanobihi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuho Swasti na Indro Vriddashrabaha Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedaha Swasti nastakshorarishthanemihi Swasti no Brahaspatir Dadato Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Kaivalya Upanishad, we have finished 19 mantras so far. And this is the first Upanishad for our study out of the 12 Upanishads. I will finish this Upanishad in maybe 1 or 2 sessions more. And after that, we'll be taking up Mundaka Upanishad. What have we studied in Kaivalya Upanishad? If you ask someone who has attended these talks, he should be able to say very clearly that this Upanishad has taught me that my nature is something which I have never known as pure being. I always know myself as an individual in this society, but I do not know myself can exist as a pure, conscious being. This is exactly what we learn from Kaivalya Upanishad. In short, what did I learn? I always thought that I am an individual with a name, form, relationships. That is how we conduct our entire life. But Upanishad completely discards this personality of mine and raises my level of understanding of the whole universe into a totally different field, which is called as Paramarthika Satyam. It is not what I experience. What I experience is called as Vyavaharika Satyam, transactional reality. What the Upanishad tells me is there is a pure being, which is the common platform between the individual and the world. There is something like this. And how does the Upanishad reveal this entity, this reality? In this Upanishad, Atharvana Veda Upanishad, Kaivalya Upanishad uses the methodology of analyzing the 3 states of our experiences, exactly like how we do it in Mandukya Upanishad and also in Chandogya Upanishad in the 8th chapter. Same analysis is done. In all this Upanishad, what does the Upanishad try to teach us? It says that your Jagrata Avastha, the waking state, you are the pure being plus this body. This physical body is required to experience the physical world. In the dream state, you require another body, which is the subtle body, to experience the subtle world, a realm of experience. And then in the sleep state, you require another body, another realm of experience. Normal human being will never analyze the world like this. The Upanishad is alone trying to analyze our whole life experience in these three realms. Nobody will, without this knowledge of the scriptures, nobody will get into this line of thinking at all. So we have three Upanishads talking of the same methodology. Analyze who am I in the waking state, who am I in the dream state, who am I in the sleep state. Because I exist in all the three states. So when you analyze all the three states, especially the sleep state, when the world is not there, I am there, that pure being can be known. Let us call that pure being as X. The description of that X is the description of the verses 16 to 22. It is called as the Mahavakya portion. Then the Upanishad tries to bring out the commonness between me and the world. That common platform is called as the reality. It is called as Brahman. It is called as God. It is called as Paramatma. This body is called as Jivatma. That real entity which exists as a pure being is called as Paramatma or Brahman. It might sound a little bit abstract, these words, but when you keep on hearing about that, hearing about this repeatedly in 12 Upanishads, this idea of what this Upanishad is trying to tell me comes out very clearly. It has to be repeatedly heard. It is the same message that there is a supreme pure being which exists forever. It is immortal. I, the body, am immortal. I, the body, am mortal. But the supreme being is immortal. My journey from a mortal body to this immortal being is the purpose of all our study in these 12 Upanishads. You must know this point very well. It is an internal journey which I have to conduct in my own intellect. There are certain stations. At each station, there will be some obstacles. You have to remove those obstacles and keep going forward. It is not an external physical journey with the body. I go from this point A to point B. That is a physical travel with the body. But this one is an internal journey. You have to cognitively use your mind to travel inside. Taittiriya Upanishads tells us that it is a travel of 5 koshas, 5 dresses which I wear. Annamaya kosha, pranamaya kosha, manomaya kosha, vijnanamaya kosha, anandamaya kosha. Here in this Kaivalya Upanishad, it tells us there are 3 stations: waking, dream, sleep. You have to cross these 3 stations and then ask the question, who am I? The descriptions in the Upanishads is that X, which is beyond the 3 states, that X is what is described in verse number 6 of Kaivalya Upanishad. And in order to reiterate the same verse number 6 and 7 of Kaivalya Upanishad, the Upanishad takes up these verses for meditation, for upasana, and tells the student, teaches the student that think of the same reality again. I'm teaching you again from 16 to 22. 16th verse said that the self, this reality X, is the self of all. It is the self of your physical body. It is the self of my physical body. There is an entity like that. This is how we have to understand this pure being. So verse 16 talked about the self being present in all as the same without a change. Very easy if you understand that I am a Sakshi, I am a witness of my thoughts, then the same Sakshi is as a witness of your body thoughts, my body thoughts. Anybody who is thinking, the witness remains the same, common factor. Now, that witness is the support of the whole universe. These are all points for us to think when I want to know myself. It is the support. It is the adhishthanam. It is the substratum on which the entire world comes and goes. And the Upanishad in the 16th verse says, you are that, and that is you. Very powerful statement. It is a Mahavakya, like Tattvamasi, you are that. That is used in Chandogya Upanishad. 9 times the teacher repeats to the student, you are that consciousness principle, that Sakshi, which you don't know today. You think you're the body, but drop that notion and realize the truth. And then what you will get is called as Kaivalyam. I alone am. The 17th verse describes this X, this pure being, as the illuminating substance, like the light. In order to reveal this whole waking state, there is a light required, a spiritual light. That spiritual light is the essence of the whole creation. It is the same light which illumines my dream world. It's the same light which tells me there is no world in the sleep state. It is the same light which shows me the waking state world. So there is one light. And what I will know in the end of my spiritual journey is that light. That was said in verse number 17. 18th verse taught us that the world which we see in the waking state comes about only when the mind is there. When the mind is there, the instrument called as the mind, Antakaranam, is there, I see the world. In the sleep state, I don't see the world. In the waking state, when I see the world, there is a knower of the world, there is a known object, and there is a knowing process. This is called as Vritti Jnanam. Knowledge through thoughts, perceptions, when the mind is awake. And what happens when the Triputi is not there? Triputi means knower, known, and knowing process. When this Triputi of mind is not there, what happens? The whole world goes into unmanifest condition. Matter has got 2 conditions, manifest, unmanifest. But the light which illumines that matter remains the same always. No change in that. That is why we can say that I am immortal. I don't change. It is I'm not affected by time. I always remain as the substratum for the whole universe. So 18th verse talks us with reference to the Triputi. 19th verse brings out the central theme of this whole Upanishad, that this pure being is the essence behind all names and forms. In me, this consciousness alone, the world rises and the world is sustained and the world resolves. See, these are all verses, they are all pointing to the truth which was revealed in verse number 6. Verse 6, like in Bhagavad Gita, in the verses from verse second chapter, from 12th verse on to 30th verse, you'll find Lord Krishna is describing this a supreme state. The same supreme state has been described in verse number 6 of this Kaivalya Upanishad. Same, whatever was described in the Bhagavad Gita, na jayate, na briyate va kadachit, 20th verse of the second chapter. There is an immortal being. That immortal being is the theme of all Upanishads. And ultimately, I have to say that immortal being is there in this body as the pure self. So, 19th verse talked about that pure self being present as the Srishti, Sthiti, Laya, Karanam. Today we are going to start the 20th verse. Let's see how this 20th verse goes.
अणोरणीयानहमेव तद्वद् अणोरणीयानहमेव तद्वद् महानहं विश्वमहं विचित्रम् महानहं विश्वमहं विचित्रम् पुरातनोऽहं पुरुषोऽहमीशः पुरातनोऽहं पुरुषोऽहमीशः हिरण्मयोऽहं शिवरूपमस्मि हिरण्मयोऽहं शिवरूपमस्मि
Anoraniyan ahameva tatvad. I am smaller than the smallest. Aham vishwamaham vichitram. I am bigger than the biggest, and my nature is very vast. See, the Upanishad is trying to teach us how to drop our mind. Our mind always thinks in terms of big, small, variety, all that. The Upanishad's aim is to drop the mind. But how it does, you see. So when I say that I am smallest thing in the universe, I am smaller than all the atoms. At the same time, I'm bigger than the biggest. That means small and big is only in the mind, but it is not my nature. I am the manifold universe. That means the whole universe is nothing but a projection of consciousness. Like how I project a dream world. The whole dream world is what? It is nothing but the projection of a weaker's mind. So similarly, from Atma, the pure being, this whole Jagrat Avastha is being projected. That is how we should understand. That pure being is said to be the ancient one, Purusha. It is the supreme ruler. See how the Upanishad describes the existence of that being. It says it is the supreme ruler. That is one indicator. Second indicator is it's effulgent one. It does not require anything else to know itself and the world. And by nature, it is ever auspicious. Auspicious means it is ever divine. It is the most sought after things in the world. It's not easy to get it, but it is the most sought after, auspicious. It is divine. It is something great. Now, this verse is a corollary of the verse number 19. What is the verse number 19? The verse number 19 says, Mayyeva sakalam jatam, mai sarvam pratishtitam, mai sarvam layam yati. In me alone the whole world comes, it's sustained and it resolves. So it is defining Karana status of Paramatma. There is an Ishvara, there is a Lord who is the cause of this whole world. In him, the whole world is sustained. He is the sustainer of the world. He is the one from where the world is coming, and he is the one in which the world is resolved. Eka karana eva anena karya rupena bhati. Like from one gold, I can have different forms. Chain, bangle, ring. These are three different name and form of one gold. So similarly, from this pure being, pure consciousness, the whole world comes about. That is the essence of this 20th verse also. Now, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says, Aham eva idagum sarvam. There is another Upanishad, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. That is the biggest Upanishad among the 12 Upanishads. This Brihadaranyaka Upanishad and Chandogya Upanishad, these are the two big Upanishads. That's why I will probably take these two Upanishads towards the end. In that Upanishad, there is one sentence which says about this pure being. What does it say? It says that this pure being exists. In what form does it exist? It exists in the form, I am everything in the universe. So if I want to know that pure being, how should I know it? I should know it as the same. Aham Brahmasmi. Aham Brahmasmi is what? I am everything. I means not the body, it is not the mind, but the Upanishad tells us to rise above the body and mind and own up that entity, that pure being, which was revealed as the Sakshi of the three states. Don't forget that. You see that the whole thing you should be able to connect it with what? With the real entity which exists as the witness of the three states. That witness can say, Aham eva idagum sarvam. And what are the steps involved in this understanding? First is, I should understand I am the Karanam. Here I again is that witness. It is not the body talking. That witness can say, I am the Karanam. The second step is what? Karanam is always everything, exists as the material cause in every product. And the third step is what? Therefore, as Karanam, I am everything. So this is how Upanishad tells us how to relate myself as that pure being. Ano aniyan, smallest atom. If there is anything small, I am that. Tatvat Mahan. At the same time, I am bigger than the galaxy itself. You see, this is the contrast. This is the language of contrasts. Aham vichitram vishwam. I alone am the manifold universe. There is no second thing in the universe. I am everything. If I am everything, what if I as consciousness, as Sakshi, am everything, then that Sakshi can say there is no second thing other than me in the universe. Like, for example, what? The baker can easily say that the whole dream world is nothing but me. Similarly, Atma or Sakshi can say that is the whole, in the whole Jagrata Avastha, there was no Jagrata Avastha at all. What is this Jagrata Avastha you're talking about? Jagrata Avastha is only when the physical body is there. But without the physical body, I'm still there. That is the teaching. Don't forget that you exist as a pure being ever, forever. That is the teaching which you are getting from the Upanishads, and my mind has to sync with that idea. Today, when I hear it for the first time, it sounds very difficult for the intellect to absorb this as the truth. But when you hear it again and again, there are many students who have heard these type of teaching of mine for the last 8-9 years with me. I've been teaching for the last 8-9 years. There are some students who are still learning, and they are still in the same in the sessions in Wednesday class, also in Saturday classes. There are some students. Now, when they hear this truth, after so many years also, what they feel is, I heard this truth long ago, and I'm still hearing that is my nature. And because of subtlety of this reality, of this pure being, the intellect takes time to absorb this. The Upanishad uses different methodologies to help the seekers to realize the truth. This truth of pure being. Chandogya Upanishad says, Yatha Saumya Kena Brutam Pindena Sarvam Mrinmayam Vijñātam Syat. What does it say? Like, suppose you know clay, you will know all the pots. Clay is the Karanam, pots, the small pot, the big pot, the jugs, the saucers, the cups, everything is all from clay. So in order to know the different objects called as pots, jugs, mugs, plates, what you should know? You should know the Karanam. So similarly, if you know the Karanam of this whole universe as this pure being, then when you see the effect called as Jagat in the waking state or the dream state or the sleep state, you will be able to relate it as the same Karanam. When I use this teaching, I can free myself from the identification with the body and mind. See the aim of the Upanishad is, I should, in my cognitively, I should try to disidentify with the body as myself. Anadi aham puranataha sanatanaha. Ancient. The scientists could never understand what was the nature of the world or the universe before the Big Bang. They know everything after the Big Bang. But what happened before the Big Bang? Before the Big Bang, the Veda says there was a pure being. That nature of the pure being is Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. Pure existence, pure consciousness, and infinity. Limitlessness. That is the nature of the pure being. I am that Purushaha, Aham Purushaha, that Purusha which exists before the creation of the universe. The Upanishad tells me, I am that Purusha, I am not this individual Jiva. Drop this notion of the Jivatvam and own up the Brahmatvam. Pura iti Purushaha. The thread behind the universe is the isness of the universe. Existence, the consciousness behind the universe, that is my nature. Suppose you remove this consciousness and the pure being from this universe, what happens? The universe does not exist. That is the bold declaration of the Veda. Without that pure I, consciousness I, the world does not exist. You must be able to accept this fact. Only then you will say Sakshi is my real nature, beyond the three states. This is a very important understanding in the spiritual science, that I can exist independently. Aham Ishaha. These are all the words of the realized master who has known that being. I am the Karanam, Swatantram. Swatantram means I can independently exist. What is the Karyam? Karyam means it's a product. Any product is dependent on the Karanam. The ring, bangle, and chain, they borrow existence from where? From the gold. The ornaments are dependently existent, whereas the gold is independently existent. Gold is always free from the name and form of ring, chain, bangle. Chain, ring, bangle is nothing but name and form, nama, rupa, and function. You can use that chain in the neck. A bangle can be used in your hand. A ring can be used in your finger. So the function may vary, but the substance is one. In the same way, this Chaitanyam, this pure consciousness, which was described in the sixth mantra, and which is described in Mundaka Upanishad mantra as Ashabdam, Asparsham, Arupam, Gandham. I will show you that verse later. So this pure being is the Karanam, and the world is Karya. Hiranmayam. Hiranmayam means what? It is self-effulgent. Like Hiranyam. Hiranyam means gold. So like gold, this pure being is ever effulgent. It is always there as an eternal being. When you close your eyes and ask yourself, who am I? This is the pure being you should be able to visualize in this body. If I'm able to visualize this pure being in whom the whole world is coming and going, that pure being which is called as pure consciousness, pure effulgent consciousness, in which Mayeva Sakalam Jatam can be applied, then I have understood Kaivalya Upanishad. Shivarupaha. Shivarupaha means Mangala Swarupa, auspicious, Mangalam. Everything in the world is a vibhuti of the Lord, glory of the Lord, glory of this Chaitanya, pure being. Bhagavad Gita, 10th chapter, describes all the glories of Ishvara. That is all Mangala Swarupa, Vibhuti Yoga in Bhagavad Gita. So Vedanta says you study your dream world and then you can say that the dream world is in the form of thoughts. And I have a strong identification with the thoughts in the dream. Even in the waking state, when I start thinking about imagining something in my mind, I'm totally identified. It is called as daydreaming. I have forgotten my surroundings. I'm sitting, or I'm sitting in the beach. In the beach, I have forgotten everything else. And I'm dreaming, I'm imagining a future of world of mine. Either the future world or the past world. These are the only two things which occupy my mind. Preoccupation. That is what is called as being identified. I am a pure being. Before daydreaming, I was a pure conscious being. But when I started dreaming, that pure being start getting identified with that dream. Similarly, in the waking state, what happens is I am the pure being. I'm the Sakshi. I'm the illuminating factor. But then I exist independently. I'm the cause of the entire creation. I identify with the physical body and everything connected with the physical body, which is called as adhyasa, superimposition, which is an error, which is a mistake, a misnotion, wrong comprehension of the world. I have to correct that error through the study of Vedanta. So what the Vedanta says is disidentify and look at myself as the waker when I'm coming out from the dream. Then I can say I am alone in the form of dream. Similarly, I have to come out from this Deha Abhimana. Deha Abhimana. Abhimana means identification. Deha means body. Everything is connected with this body only. If you can, in your mental ability, strength, if you can build up the strength in your mind to drop the body cognitively, you have understood Vedanta. And then you can say, I am the pure being. I can transcend the form and own up the formless Sakshi as my real nature. And the Acharyas, they tell us that the biggest obstacle for us in Vedanta is Deha Abhimana. And Lord Krishna brings out this fact very beautifully in the 5th verse of the 12th chapter of Gita. Kleshodikaras tesham avyakta sakta chetasam avyakta hi gatir dukkham dehavat riduvapyate. What is the meaning of this verse in the Gita? It says that the greatest trouble we have is the manifest form of this world. In the manifest form of the world, I am identified as the body. Through the body, I get identified with the whole world, which I call it as idam. Idam jagat. Aham is the jiva with the body. The Jagat has got manifest and unmanifest states, which I don't know till I come to Vedanta. Only if I am Sakshi, I can say that the world has got manifest and unmanifest state. Otherwise, I cannot say it. Only as Sakshi. You stand 2 feet behind the sleeper, behind the waker, behind the dreamer, and ask this question: is the world manifesting and unmanifesting? Manifesting in the waking state and the dream state, unmanifesting in the sleep state. But I, the Atma, the Sakshi, the seer, the illuminator, am always unaffected by whatever happens in the world. If I know that knowledge, that is the truth. That is the realization of a master. And Lord Krishna says this unmanifest thing is something which a Deha Brit, the one who is identified with the body, he finds it extremely difficult to understand this unmanifest condition which exists in the sleep state. Only when a teacher comes and tells you that you are Sakshi, you exist in the sleep state, and he gives you the whole teaching of the Veda, then this unmanifest thing becomes very easy. So that's why Upanishads are the science of realization. They teach me the methodology. Next verse. All these verses up to 22nd verse are all meditational verses.
Apanipadohamachintya Shaktihi. Apanipadohamachintya Shaktihi. Pashyamyachakshussashrunamyakarnaha. Pashyamyachakshussashrunamyakarnaha. Aham vijanami viviktarupaha. Aham vijanami viviktarupaha. Na chasti veta mama chit sadaham. Na chasti veta mama chit sadaham.
Kaivalya Upanishad brings out almost all the subtle points of teaching. All the subtle points which is required for us for the self-knowledge, Kaivalya Upanishad brings out beautifully. And in 24 verses, it can make you realize who you are. But a repeated study of this Upanishad is required. In the 21st verse, what it teaches us is, suppose I am a Sakshi. How will I see this world and what will I know? Sakshi Nyanam, Sakshi Swarupa Nyanam. There are two types of Jnanam. One is called as Vritti Jnanam, Ahamkara Jnanam, and the second is called as Sakshi Nyanam. Awareness of the Sakshi, the knowledge of the Sakshi, the knowledge of the world. Knowledge of the world comes only when there is Tripoti, knower, known, and the knowing process. Mind is there. That is called as Vritti Jnanam, because everything is in the form of thoughts. But the knowledge of the Sakshi is not with reference to the thoughts, because the mind has been dropped. There is no mind at the level of Sakshi. So when you are trying to know yourself, Aham Brahmasmi, I am the pure being, which is the essence behind the 24 verses. What will I experience? That is said in this verse. Apani Padam, that is the first thing. I am without hands and legs because the body is dropped. Physical body is dropped. Because now what we are talking about, the Sakshi of the three states, waking, dream, and sleep. So as Sakshi, I don't have legs and hands. Therefore, I don't have the mind. Achintya Shakti. I cannot think about anything in the world. So don't try to know Sakshi through the mind. Drop the mind. Keep on. You see, in the meditation, we keep on thinking, oh, I'm going to Sakshi, the Sakshi is going to come in front of me. The light is going to come in front of me. No, it will never come. Achintya Shakti. This Shakti of the Sakshi is not what can be seen or comprehended by the mind. It cannot be seen by the eyes. Pashyam achakshusha. Na srunoti karnaha. I cannot see the Sakshi with the eyes. I cannot hear the Sakshi with the ears. What it means is drop all this and then just negate all this and realize you are the pure being. This is what is the meditation I'm taking in the Wednesday sessions. Last week, I told you, all of you, to join and just get acclimatized to this knowledge, because in meditation, you can easily explain all this very easily. Devoid of all forms, aham vijanami vivikta rupaha, nachasti veta, I know nothing, I know everything, or I know nothing. Mama chit sadaham. There is nobody who can know me because I am the light in which everything is known. The torchlight, the light can never know what is the battery behind. I am the one which is the battery. I am the electricity in the bulb. I am the pure knowledge. Without me, there is no world. Without me, the consciousness, there is no world. So the nature of Atma can be studied from two angles. One angle is with the Upadhi, or the medium of the body as an instrument, the mind as an instrument for cognition, which is called as Sopadikam. And then there is a second methodology of knowing this Atma. That same Atma is there with the Upadhi, and the same Atma is there without the Upadhi. See, this is how the teaching is. This is how Vedanta teaches us how to open up these mantras. Suppose you try to understand this 21st verse without this background of teaching. Suppose you are just saying, okay, I'll just read Upanishad on my own and I will come to know the truth about myself. It will never work. You need this analysis. So that pure being can be understood with the body and without the body. When it is without the body, it is called as nirupadikam or paramarthikam. When it is with the body, it is called as vyavaharikam. This is a very important analysis. This will be taught in every Upanishad. And every Upanishad, you have to apply this rule. Sopadikam, Nirupadikam. Sopadikam means Vyavaharikam. Nirupadikam means Paramarthikam. Paramarthikam means Atma without the body and mind and the world and the sense organs. There is no, enough. These are active in the Vyavaharikam, but they are passive in Paramarthikam. Aham apani padaha. Niravayava Swarupaha. As Sakshi, as the pure being, eternal pure being, which I am, I don't have any legs and hands or limbs. Sakshi is without legs or hands. There is no mind. Bodiless, mindless being is Atma. Mundaka Upanishad, in the first chapter itself, it describes this pure being. What we are studying in Kaivalya Upanishad, same thing is going to be studied in Mundaka also. How does the Mundaka Upanishad reveal this? Yat adreshyam, yat agrahyam, agotram, avarnam, achakshushrotram, tad apani padam. This is negating neti. I don't have, I cannot, this as Sakshi, it cannot hold anything. It doesn't have body. It has no attributes. It has no eyes or ears, no hands or legs. You see how the same language is being used in Mundaka Upanishad and Kaivalya Upanishad to reveal the Sakshi. I want to bring that out here. And this is the central message of Mundaka Upanishad. First chapter, first section, sixth mantra. Like the sixth mantra of Kaivalya Upanishad is this mantra. It gives you the indications, the Lakshana Vakyam. Indicative, it tells me that this is the Lakshyartha of I. So this Sakshi is Nityam Vibhum Sarvagatam Susukshmam Tad Avyayam. I'm talking about the Mundaka mantra. Yat Bhutayonim Paripashyanti Dhiraha. The wise seeker can understand this Sakshi as his real self without the body, mind, and its limbs. That is what is the essence behind this Mundaka Upanishad mantra also, which is the essence behind the 21st mantra of Kaivalya. As Sukshma Shariram, endowed with Pancha Pranas, Dasha Indriyas and Manaha, I am a Jiva. I am a reflected consciousness in a medium of transaction. You may ask why this God has created this world of waking state, and that is because of Prarabdha Karma. Pashyami achakshu shronomi akarnaha. As pure consciousness, I don't have eyes or ears, but associated with medium, I become the seer, I become the hearer. See, I am the pure consciousness. I exist independently as nirupadikam, without any medium. But when I am associated with the body, and I become a jiva, then I become a seer. See how deep we have to go? With the body, I become a seer, hearer. And without the body, I am the Atma. It's very easy, isn't it? In sleep state, I am without the body, and that is what is called as Atma. But that knowledge has to be got in the waking state. In the sleep state, you will be still sleeping. Even after getting the knowledge, you will have a very sound sleep tonight. But in the waking state, you have to realize the truth. Keno Upanishad, another beautiful Upanishad, brings out a similar idea. I'm bringing in some of the other Upanishad because now slowly you should start saying all the Upanishads are revealing Atma. Keno Upanishad, what does it say? Shrotrasya Shrotram Manaso Manoyad Vacho hi Vacham Sahu Pranasya Pranaha Chakshusha Chakshur Adimuchadiraha Pretyasman Lokan Amruto Bhavanti. Very beautiful. This is the Mahavakyam of Keno Upanishad, like the Mahavakyam of Kaivalya Upanishads. How does Keno Upanishad describe Atma? It says it is the ear of the ear, mind of the mind. There is something behind my ears. That power behind the ears is this Atma. The power of producing thoughts in the mind is this Atma. It is the tongue of the tongue. When I speak, the speech comes out, but how does it come out? The power behind that is this Atma. It is the life of the life. Life is the prana in this body. This prana behind this, the life behind this prana is called as Atma. It is the eye of the eye. When I abandon all the senses and the mind, I come to the core of my being, which is immortal. This is what Taittiriya Upanishad also says. Drop all the 5 koshas and realize this pure being, which is immortal. Can I become immortal by knowing this pure being? Yes, yes, yes. Upanishad tells you, just come to know this pure being and you will become immortal. That is what Mundaka Upanishad says. Brahmavit apnoti Brahman. The one knower of Brahman becomes Brahman. All because of the unique power of Maya Shakti. That X factor, that pure being, and this world, in between there is a power. How that X pure being becomes this world, that power is called as Maya Shakti. We will be discussing this Maya Shakti and analyzing what is this Shakti and all that in other Upanishads. Especially in Svetasvatara Upanishad, Maya Shakti is beautifully described. Aham vijanami vivikta rupa apramata. I am not the knower of all the forms. The knower is in the medium of the intellect. When the mind is there, I become the knower. When the mind is not there, I am the pure consciousness. The electricity by itself is not the illuminator. It needs the bulb. So electricity by itself is called as Paramarthikam. It is not Pramata, it is Apramata. Pramata means knower. Knowingness comes only when the mind is there. So consciousness by itself is not the illuminator or the knower. Only when the world is in front in the Jagrata Avastha or in the dream world is there in the dream Avastha, then the consciousness is called as illuminator or the knower, ultimate knower. So from the transactional world, I the consciousness, I the Sakshi become Pramata. Pramata means the knower. This fact you should become very clear. Sakshi is without the knowingness. It is without the knowerhood. There is no status. The status of knowerhood comes when the body is visible. I have forgotten that my nature is without the body. Therefore, I become a jiva. I become a karta. I become a doer. I become a bhokta. The moment my ignorance of my real nature goes away, that Jiva becomes the Sakshi. Like the dreamer becomes the waker becomes the Sakshi. So do you see how deep is this Upanishad, Kaivalya Upanishad? You have to understand the intricacies of these verses. In the waking state, I lose the sight of Atma. In the dream state, I lose the sight of the waker. So what is the greatness of this pramata? Pramata means the knower with the mind. The greatness is he thinks that he knows everything, but the real knower is what? Sakshi. Sakshi can say, I am a pramata. I am not a knower. I am not a known object. Because I am the subject. As Sakshi, I can say this, not as the pramata. As pramata means what? As the mind, I will have to say I am the knower. And the world is known. Na chasti veta, not as knower in absolute state. Who am I then? I am the pure Sakshi. That Sakshi has got the status of being the knower pramata in the waking state. What is the proof of the existence of this Atma? This verse tells me, Sada aham chit asmi. This is the proof. What is the proof that I am the pure consciousness, the pure being after I negate the waking state, dream state, sleep state? What is the proof? This is the proof. Sada aham asmi. I am that pure being which always exists. The only entity, it is a self-proven, self-evident consciousness. That is my intrinsic nature. What is this nature of mine in the waking state? That is an incidental nature because of prarabdha karma. The law of karma is explaining the Jagrata Avastha. You have to drop the law of karma when you go to the Paramarthika Avastha, which is beyond the three states. The only entity which is self-proven is this Atma. There is no proof required because you have to tell yourself, I am pure being. That's all. If you're able to say that and understand its meaning and abide in that meaning, you have understood Vedanta, you have understood Kaivalya. In looking for proof, you presuppose a conscious entity. Don't try to search for a proof because it can be, you see, when you're searching for a proof, you are assuming that there is a conscious entity which is searching. Therefore, Upanishad says, Pratibodha viditam matam. Kena Upanishad. Pratibodha viditam matam amritatvam hi vindate atmana vindate viryam vidyaya vindate amritam. Before you can use your mind, this Sakshi is shining. Every thought in the mind is illumined by this ever-existing, self-evident Sakshi. This is a very important mantra of Kena Upanishad, quoted by Shankaracharya almost 100 times in his commentaries. Every commentary of every Upanishad, he has quoted this mantra. Because this gives the status of the Sakshi without any medium called as the mind, and the mind is the closest to the self. Because it's so close, it's very difficult for us to disidentify. And once you know this, you have become immortal. Once you know the Sakshi, the nature of Sakshi, if you come to know, it is always existing as the self-evident Atma, then you can own that as your real intrinsic nature. Pratibodha viditam matam, every experience reveals my existence. Every experience comes only with the mind. Without the mind, there is nothing called as an experience. When am I of the nature of consciousness? If you ask, the Upanishad tells us, Sada aham chitasmi. Always I am of the nature of consciousness. And there is no gradation in consciousness. Last week in one of the sessions, somebody was asking me, is there any gradation? That because I am very dull mind, will my consciousness also be dull? No, consciousness is always one. It is always bright. It is always illuminating. It is illuminating the dull mind. It is illuminating a bright mind. And a bright mind, when it illumines, you will find that it is Sattvic mind. Sattvic mind will never have any doubts, no agitations. Always it will be just looking at the world and experiencing the world without agitations. That is the nature of a realized master. Because the Sakshi is always in a pure mind. 22nd verse. I can try and complete this verse today.
वेदैरनेकैरहमेव वेद्यः वेदैरनेकैरहमेव वेद्यः वेदान्तकृत् वेदविदेव चाहम् वेदान्तकृद्वेदविदेव चाहम् न पुण्यपापे मम नास्ति नाशः न पुण्यपापे मम नास्ति नाशः न जन्मदेहेन्द्रियबुद्धिरस्ति न जन्मदेहेन्द्रियबुद्धिरस्ति.
This is a repetition of the previous other mantras, but the only thing here it says is, in the previous mantras it said, I am not the gross body, I am not the subtle mind, I am not the thoughts. Here what it says is, I am not the causal body. I have no merit or demerit. Punya papam. I have no punya, I have no papam. That is the essence of this verse number 22. Causal body is being referred. That is the main essence. I alone am the theme taught in the different Vedas. I am alone the theme taught in the Vedas means I am the subject matter in all the Vedas. I am, here I stands for the consciousness, the pure being. The nature of this pure being is being taught in all the 4 Vedas. I am the revealer of the Upanishads. I, the consciousness, am always present in the seeker's mind. Whenever any student in the future or in the present is studying the Upanishads and trying to understand the truth, I am the one who is revealing it, because the consciousness is the light behind the mind. Pratibodha viditam matam. I alone am the real knower of the Vedas. Here I stands for the awareness consciousness principle. So Brahmarpanam Brahma Havihi, that mantra of Bhagavad Gita you should remember. As consciousness, I am everything. I am the Yajna Kunta and I am the Yajna, in the Bhagavad Gita, this verse comes where the Lord Krishna says, as Brahman, I am the one who is pouring all the oblations. I am the one who's chanting the mantra. The chanter and the oblations, everything is this pure consciousness, because without this light of consciousness, there is no yajna. So similarly here he says, the whole Veda exists because of this pure being. For me, there is neither merit or demerit, neither punyam or papam. I suffer no destruction, and therefore I can say that I am ever immortal. I have neither birth nor body nor sense organs. Na jayate mriyate va kadachat. The same mantra. See how Bhagavad Gita has taken the ideas of the essence of Upanishads. Here clearly the Upanishad says, I have no birth, I have no body, I have no mind, I have no sense organs, I have no hands, I have no legs, I have no mind, I have no intellect. All this you drop. When you drop all that, is there something? There is this pure being. That is what you should realize. I am everything. I am complete as Atma. Triputi means pramata, pramanam, prameyam. Knower, instrument called the mind or the sense organs, pramanam, and prameyam, the known object, subject, object, and the knowing instrument. All these three comes in a relative world of Jagrat or Swapna. But in the absolute Atma, Triputi is not there. Triputi belongs to Vyavaharikam, relative world of the mind. When there is no mind which to be experienced as in the sleep state, that state is called as absolute Paramarthika Satyam. This is that mantra, this is the state which was described in Mandukya Upanishad, number 7. See, I showed you Keno Upanishad, the mantra, describing the same pure being. Mundaka Upanishad I showed you. Prardhanika Upanishad I showed you. Now Mandukya Upanishad. Mandukya Upanishad and Kaivalya Upanishad are very close to each other. Whatever is the methodology adopted in Kaivalya, you will be studying again in Mandukya Upanishad in a much more detail. But in that Upanishad also, the indication used is like this. Na anta prajnam, na bahish prajnam, no bhayata prajnam, na prajnam, na prajnana ghanam, na prajnam, adrishtam. So this is all it says. I am not conscious of objects. I am not unconscious. Then it says, I am not, I the pure being. These are all the nature of the pure being. Adrishtam, avyavaharyam, agrahyam, alakshanam, achintyam, avyapudeshyam, ekatma pratyaya saram, prapancho upashamam, shantam shivam, advaitam, chaturtham manyante sa atma savigneya. This verse, if you read and understand the meaning, you will be able to understand this meaning now. because you have gone through the 21 verses of Kaivalya Upanishad. You are not talking about the relative world here when you are describing pure being. That pure being, as pure being, can say this statement: I am not, which is conscious of the internal subjective world of dream. I am not, which is conscious of the external world when the mind is available. I am not, which is conscious of both. I am not a mass of consciousness as experienced in the sleep state. I am not a simple consciousness. I am not unconsciousness also. See how beautiful the Mandukya Upanishadic mantra negates everything which is an object. Adrishyam, it is unseen by any sense organ. Avyavaharyam, avyavaharyam means it is beyond the empirical Vyavaharika world. So anything in the Vyavaharika, in the transactional field, don't think it is Atma. It is all an Atma. It is incomprehensible by the mind. Achintyam. Just now we saw Achintyam also. Uninferable, because mind is not there. Unthinkable, indescribable. All this is to do with the subtle body mind. But what is that? Okay, you have told me it is not this, not this, not this, not this. Neti, 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 neti. Okay. But what is it? Can you give me some description, positive description? Shantam, peaceful. After negating all this phenomena of the relative world, is there something? Yes, that is this pure being, which is called as Shantam, Shivam, auspicious, Advayam, non-dual. Because why is it called non-dual? Why is it called as Advaitam? Because that consciousness alone is. The whole world is mithya. It is a false, pseudo, ego-related world, which is negated by the Upanishads by the term neti, neti. And that pure state is called as Turiyam. And this Atma, which is called as Turiyam, that is what you have to realize as your essential nature. See how Mundaka Upanishad, Mandukya Upanishad, Keno Upanishad, Kaivalya Upanishad, they all talk of one pure being. I am neither Vishwa, Taijasa, Prajna. These are the three names given to me when I am in the waking state. I am called as Vishwa. When I am in the dream state, it's called as Taijasa. These are all terms used in Mandukya. I'm just giving you so that you become used to this way of thinking. I am not the Jagrat Pramata, Sopna Pramata. Pramata means the knower. I am not the Sushupti Pramata. I am not the knower of the sleep state. I am not the knower of the dream state. I am not the knower of the waking state. This knowerhood comes to the mind. But I am not the mind. I am the consciousness. Triputi, knower, known, knowing instrument, is a vesham. It is a dress. It is incidental. It is not intrinsic. What is my intrinsic nature? Atma. So dream is all in myself. The waker becomes the dreamer. Similarly, I can say Atma, the pure being, becomes the waker, dreamer, and deep sleep. Ahameva Vedyaha. I alone am to be known. In the Vedas, what is the essence of all the Vedas? This pure Atma is the essence. Vedaihi anekaihi. In all Veda Vakyams, especially Mahavakyams, this pure being is revealed. Vedavit, the knower of Veda, Vedanta Krit, is the revealer of the Veda. I am the revealer of the Veda. I am the content of the Veda. Without me, there is no Veda. The revealer is the Guru, the Acharya, who uses the Pramanam, who uses these Shastric words only. Shastra comes from Shrotriyam, Brahmanishtam. Shastra means the scriptural teaching comes from what a guru has learned through hearing from the Veda. The initiator of the Vedic teaching is called as Vedakrit. Lord Shiva is supposed to be the first teacher for his disciples. Lord Dakshinamurti Stotram is a very powerful stotram which teaches that. From the original standpoint, what is my nature? Going forward is called as Adhyaropa, reflected consciousness, and going backwards is called as Apavada, original consciousness. So there are two ways you can look at in the spiritual journey. When you want to describe the world and everything about the world, all the vibhutis, Vishwarupa, Ishvara, it is called as Adhyaropa, superimposition. When you want to go deep inside your intellect, you are trying to negate all the Adhyaropa. That is called as Apavada. Through this methodology of Adhyaropa and Apavada, the whole teaching is given. Na punyam, na papam. We transact as reflected consciousness. That pure being is reflected in this body. Therefore, in order to know the pure being, what do I have to do? Cognitively remove the body. That's all. Cognitively try to understand there is a pure being without these three states. Whenever the three states are there, it is called as relative world. Without the three states, it is called as Paramarthika Satyam, absolute reality. Na punyam na papam, nirvana shatkam. I'm doing this meditation in my Wednesday classes. I just started the first mantra last week. I will be doing the 6 mantras as meditation in my Wednesday classes. This is this is the 4th mantra, and that mantra is being used in this, that mantra has come because of this Kaivalya Upanishad. Na punyam, na papam. Na punyam, na papam, na saukyam, na dukkham, na mantro, na tirtho, na veda, na yajnaha. Aham bhojanam naiva bhojyam na bhoktaha. Chidananda rupaha, shivoham, shivoham. That is Shankaracharya's writing. He has used all the scriptural teachings in 6 powerful mantras for meditation. This is one of that. This says, I have no punyam and papam. When there is no punyam and papam in the absolute state, that is called as pure being. So do I have to go through all my sanchita karma, my prarabdha karma, my agami karma to become free? No. By knowledge of the pure being from the Vedas, you can be free from identification with the body forever. And you can say, I am totally Mukta Purusha. Na janma dehendriya buddhi asti. Then once you have learned through this Kaivalya Upanishad, if you have learned how to disidentify with the body and mind in all these 22 verses, 23 verses, you would then be able to say, there is no dehaha, there is no sense organs. All these are negated at the Veshti level, at the individual level. This 23 and 24, I will take it up next week. And then there are two Palashrutis, 2 verses. So totally 4 verses I have to take next week. And then we will do a small revision of this Upanishad. If you have any questions, you write them down, send it to me by WhatsApp. If you send it to me, we will go through those questions. Go through these 24 verses in your free time in the next 1 week. If you're able to get this done, next week we will close Kaivalya Upanishad and then we'll take up Mundaka Upanishad. We'll see if time permits, we'll start Mundaka Upanishad. If there's no time, then we'll start the following week. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachare Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyade. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Since the Sakshi is not having any instrument of knowledge, how it can witness the 3 states? Okay. That is what is the beauty of Sakshi. That is what is called as the self-effulgence of Sakshi. Why is the fire hot? Why is water cold? We have no answer. Why Sakshi is like that? I have no answer. It is self-effulgent. Veda Upanishad tells me that is the nature of Sakshi. It illumines the 3 states without any mind. There are 2 types of knowledge. One is called as Vritti Nyanam, another is Sakshi Nyanam. The Sakshi Nyanam is I alone am. And it is a pure light of consciousness without the instrument. That is what is my intrinsic nature. Knowing this nature, I can drop all the sorrows in life and say they do not belong to me. Use this knowledge of the scriptures and become free. Do not ask the question why Atma's nature is like this. If you understand the scriptural teaching as Shastric Sakshi Nyanam, which is called as Samanya Nyanam, intrinsic Nyanam, then you will understand that I am that which has been revealed as pure being. The other 3 states belong to the mind. Whenever the mind is there, you can say, I am in the dream state, or the sleep state, or the waking state. Without the mind instrument, there is something. That is the revelation of Kaivalya Upanishad, Mandukya Upanishad, Chandogya Upanishad. All the Upanishadic study is only to reveal this Atma as Sakshi, uninvolved Sakshi, unaffected by time principle. I can never have decay. I have no decay. I have no death. I am ever there. Use it, use this knowledge and be free. That's all. Shloka 22 is similar to 15 of Gita, Bhagavad Gita. Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishtaha Mathaspriti Jnanamapohanam cha Vedaisha Sarve Rahameva Vedya Vedanta Kredon Dvideha Chaham. Yes, you're right. 22nd verse and this verse 15 are very similar. Okay, anybody else has any other questions? Chama, I'll just come back to you. Is Babubai here? Okay, he's not there. Anybody else has a question before I go to Shama, because she has very deep questions. I need to take some time before I get to her questions. Anybody else has any other question? Yes, tell me.
Sakshi is from Apramata.
Yes.
And mind is Pramata.
Correct.
Now the mind goes to through Bahir Mukhi, goes through Riti, goes to the outside world.
Yes.
And it experiences.
Correct.
And as Pravriti, it comes back to the mind or to the Buddhi?
It comes back to the mind only. Mind, Buddhi is the same. Antakarana.
So the Karta is the mind or the Buddhi?
It is the Buddhi.
It is a Buddhi. So Karta and Bhokta is the experiencer.
Correct. Which is with the mind. That Sakshi with the mind is called as Karta Bhokta.
The Sakshi with the mind is called
Karta Bhokta.
And Ahamkara is
he is also the Karta. I, ego, is a Karta.
Okay. That's what I want, some small clarity.
Good. Very good. You are understanding Veda very clearly now.
Thank you very much.
Yes, Shama, tell me. Shama? Anybody else has a question? Shama, I'm not able to hear you. Can you unmute yourself and then talk?
1 second. Hello, Shekharji.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hari
Now.
Om.
I can hear you.
Hari Om. I have two separate sort of questions. The first question is it true that every sadhaka, every spiritual seeker will necessarily have to go through this, what is, I think, somewhere described as the dark night of the soul, where you are kind of in between two worlds, you know? It's a very real, Sakshi is very, very real. And one has yet not finished off completely with the mindset of thoughts, you know? So it looks very, very, so what I meant was, let me explain. So, you know, there is this, I've been trying recently to look at my life in terms of what is it that is holding me to this material world? What is it? Why is it I am still clinging on? Why am I still attaching? Because unless there is detachment, there is no attachment, you know? So I'm trying to attach in my mind to the higher reality, which is the Sakshi or the mind. So I've been trying to examine as to what is it that is still having such a strong hold in this process of the revelation. For example, this very highly idealized, spiritualized material living is one of those things which has stood me very strongly all throughout my life up until now. So even this, now I'm realizing that there are so many gaps in it. It is not so realistic, you know, and it is not a correct picture. In other words, the desire to actually reach that abidance state or the real truth, you know, the Paramatma, is a very strong one. But this leaving my material, you know, identity of this highly idealized spiritualized life living to make that final plunge into this reality, which all the Vedas, all the scriptures, there is no doubt in my mind, it is very, very true. And I definitely want to be there. But at the moment, this seems like a painful, and I'm asking you, is this would be a very standard, normal experience for most sadhakas? That's the
Yes,
question.
yeah, you're right. What you are explaining now is a very, very standard experience of all the seekers. Not only you, it's everybody. Unless until you are you extremely fortunate to have a very pure mind, you will go through these experiences of what you have described now. There is a spiritual darkness between the light of Atma and your existential transactional world. There is a field of darkness. What you call as the field of darkness is called as Mula Avidya. It is called as non-apprehension of the reality. That is that ignorance, You see, we are not talking about the ignorance of the world now. We are talking about the ignorance of the Atma itself. That spiritual darkness you're talking about is actually your experience in the sleep state. You are bringing back that experience of your sleep state in the waking state and saying there is a darkness. And that is a memory in your mind bank, that there is one still darkness which I have to cross over. That is that spiritual ignorance. And that spiritual ignorance will go away the more you hear of this through these 12 Upanishads. I've given you 4 Upanishads today, which gives you those, how to remove that darkness. But at this point of time, it is still at a superficial level. It has not gone deep into your system. You have heard it, but it has not been absorbed into your system.
The verse 4 of Nirvana Shatkam, na punyam na papam. And that's exactly what I have been thinking, that which was so glorious, so great for me to hang on to, even that must go,
it must go. It must go.
Yeah, this is what I was listening to you. I was thinking, no, one should almost take like a little matchstick and say, burn it and say, that also. It has very, very fortunate. It has helped me all my life. But now this also must go, because I cannot carry it with me into this.
In Atma, you cannot carry all your punyams.
This is a beautiful one.
Yes, see, you cannot carry there, because that is the nature. That is the nature of Atma. See, you're getting into that cave of your intellect, and then you're lighting that matchstick. Before lighting the matchstick, again you're gripped with fear and saying that, you're gripped again with fear. Am I going to drop all this and get into oblivion?
Also, it is like that silk moth. It makes a big cocoon, silk cocoon. And you have worked so hard at it. That is the beauty of it. You worked so hard at it, lovingly you have made it. And you can see that in order for you to exit out of it, you actually have to be boiled, you know? And it's that little scary thing, that, and right now it is is it in the yajna, somewhere it is description of the yajna, where you put the arni and this thing. So it is almost like, you have to put your jiva self into it. I don't know, it's a vague recollection which I'm having.
That is in Kaivalya Upanishad. There they teach you the 2 arnis, And it tells you that you take the intellect as the upper arni, and then you keep the lower arni constant. So that is what was taught in the Kaivalya Upanishad, and
correct.
So
Yes.
so
Now I'm
that,
remembering it.
yeah.
Remembering it.
So that is how meditation has to be done.
So it must be done with that intensity, you know, of the
That's
yajna.
correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
So okay.
So
So
that
at
is,
least
that
the
is the 11th mantra of this Kaivalya Upanishad.
I will read it again, because it was just when you were talking, you know, it's interesting how many thoughts are being generated while I'm listening, you know, because it is all very deeply connecting to where I am in this place.
Yes.
And the very last question, just really, it's a question, but something. So who is the one who is seeking the self? It is the jiva, or which is the imprisoned self, the jiva which is limited in the triputati, you know, in the
Yes.
desha kala kind of
Correct.
setup.
Correct. Yes. It is
So
that jiva, which is
it is the imprisoned self.
yes.
So the self which is imprisoned, it is, so you're actually wanting to exit out of it. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. It is.
And why? Yeah. And the next
Yeah.
question is, why is the jiva wanting to do it, or this seeker? Why is he wanting to do it? Is it necessarily because you've had a little glimpse, a chidabhasa, or is it the suffering of the jiva which is pushing? Which one is it? You know, or is it both?
It is both.
Achha.
It is both. You see, you have experienced everything in this life. Whatever life can give you, you have experienced it. But you're still not happy. You're not fulfilled. You know, so your buddhi is asking this question, okay, you know, okay, I will have another 10 million pounds in my account, and I will buy so many things in this life. I will go to so many places. But will I be fulfilled? You know, will I say that, yes, I have had enough of the world? No. Veda says you will never be fulfilled as long as your mind is turned outwards. See that Bahirmukhatvam is the problem of the jiva which is in this body. The Bahirmukhatvam. Every time you see, you wake up, you want to go into the world and you want to suffer. So
absolutely,
that is actually asking the question, is this what is my real nature? See, tomorrow also I will wake up, tomorrow also I will go through the life, and what will life give me ultimately? In the end, it will either be sorrow or joy. That is the end result for all the mind. Whether it is, Mohan's mind or Chandra's mind or anybody's mind, ultimately, any experience in the world outside is going to only result in two things. Punyam or papam, joy or sorrow. And in both this, you are a sufferer. Because punyam is not going to last forever. Papam.
And and even in this, an intense, earnest prayer is required, because I used to think I can do it myself, you know, but I'm increasingly realizing my helplessness.
Yes.
Even in this,
you need the grace of Ishvara.
Yeah, no, this is what is where does it come in the Upanishad, where it is actually telling you to say, pray for the grace?
66th verse of the Bhagavad Gita.
Okay, that one, Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, it must be there in the Upanishads as well.
Yes, in the Upanishads, you know, Upanishad has a different way of saying it.
Achha.
It has a different way of saying it because in the Upanishadic language, Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara, all three are mithya.
Correct.
You see, see, right in the Kaivalya Upanishad, it says that in the first, it talks about bhakti. You need dhyanam, bhakti, and shraddha.
Correct. I remember them. Dhyana, bhakti, shraddha. Three things.
So that is where it says you have to have the grace of Ishvara.
Correct. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. No,
Okay.
you've have. Thank you so much. Thank you for your patience.
Okay. Here, Vibhuti is saying, okay. Let me go to what Vibhuti is saying. To get freed from samsara, to get blissful state after dharma, artha, kama, we realize the futility of this and call, which is empty. So we, okay. So that's what you are trying to say. It's an answer to Shama's question by and large. But you have said dhanam, or is it dhyanam? I want to know, what do you have in mind? Yeah, yeah.
So I was trying to answer the difficulty what Shama expressed, right?
Yeah.
There it was not dhyanam. I was talking about dhanam.
Oh, dhanam.
Give up the material possessions. That solves most of our problems, because we have the tendency to accumulate.
Yeah.
But we have a highest difficulty to part with, right?
Yeah.
So that has to be practiced, and gradually we have to give up every possession. Every bank balance is not my own. Every property I own is not mine. Every share is not my own. Every degree I have is not my own. So such give ups is required. For that, dhanam is the first step. After that, we can go for all these things, right? So the stepping stone is dhanam, and I think only when we do that and we feel that happiness, gradually we can progress to giving up the much more difficult one.
Oh yeah,
So
like the giving up body, giving up mind is much more difficult than just parting with money.
Yes. So
but you know, you don't want to do dhanam like what was the boy's name? The Kathopanishad, his father, Nachiketa's father. You know, you really, it's a very deceptive thing, this dhanam. Personally, for me, I've been blessed because I've never been materially inclined, you know, get this, get that, you know, and my pride goes up higher if I get this, that, and all. So that way I'm very blessed. What is difficult for me is this punyam of, you know, as if that is the only reason for my living, is this a very high ideal life, you know. That is the biggest thing, which I feel now that must also go, you know. That's not good enough for me, you know, that highly dharmic life to live. I have to give up. Yeah.
Okay.
Good. Yeah, but it's been a very thank you very much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. You know.
Akshay is saying, not by good deeds, nor by wealth, not by progeny. Yes, that is Kaivalya Upanishad repeating again. Renunciation can be obtained, or you know, but okay, that's a good one, Akshay. Manikandan says we need to improve fourfold qualifications. This will help us prepare the mind. Yes. See, sadhana chatushtayam is a lifelong practice, but don't keep waiting for sadhana chatushtayam to come.
Yeah.
Okay, you keep adding on your knowledge of Atma. You see, this Kaivalya Upanishad has beautifully described the entire spiritual science into 24 mantras. Go through these 24 mantras one more time. After doing this, next week, I'll finish the Kaivalya Upanishad. In your spare time, what you do is just read the verse and the meaning of the verses. And see, is there a link which you can establish in your own thought process? You will find after these sessions, you will find a beautiful link coming in your mind, in your thought process. When you go through just the meanings, it won't take much time. Sit down with a piece of paper in front of you, take verses number 6, then take up, I mean, you can go through all the verses. Some of the verses you can drop. See the verses which are talking about the description of Atma and the realization of Atma. Verse number 6, 7, 8, and then 16 to 22. And see whether that pure being described beyond the three states is the description given in 16 to 22. Let your mind go through this aspect of the teaching.
Yeah.
This is the most critical thing to do in this Upanishad. Don't just listen and then leave it forever. You prepare your own notes and say, this is what I have learned.
Yeah.
1 page, 2 pages, you make this and keep it for revision again and again. You see, don't forget that whatever you have learned, if you revise, it will go deeper into your unconscious level.
Yeah. One of the fascinating thing, and this is really again to add to Bhatt's this thing on the Dhanam bit of it, what is so amazing is the more the Jnanam, the light, then it doesn't look like what, if the light comes into the room, it doesn't see, shall I light this corner of the house or shall I light this?
Yeah.
It lights up everything. So by itself, the more Jnanam, I mean, that is the only recourse I feel we have on our day-to-day life. The more Jnanam, your Viveka level, I mean, in the last 2 years, I can think since I've been listening to Shekharji, the Jnanam, and I must say today morning itself, I was thinking, I've got too many things. I'm really tired of, just seeing so many things. I want to get rid of it. Can you imagine? So this relinquishing, not acquiring more. So there is 2 components, acquisition and relinquishing.
Yeah.
So no more to acquire and to relinquish. And the acquire bit is so strong in my head that I was going to send a message to my son who is in Thailand to tell him, please, for heaven's sake, do not try and get me anything. I don't want it because I'm trying to get rid of things, because it's things I feel my mental and spiritual energies get trapped inside things. So I want to get rid of it. So it's a very automatic process, the vairagyam. So the more viveka, the more vairagyam. It has to follow. You cannot separately think, oh, I must have vairagyam. So this is something which is really delightful. So I'm glad Bhatt has raised it.
In Vichara Sagara, the teacher, the Acharya clearly says, the more knowledge which you get of Atma, your vairagya will automatically increase.
How wonderful, how wonderful.
Whatever he has said, you are repeating it, that's all. It's just the truth. I'm only saying this is whatever has been said there is been what you're just repeating it.
How amazing. Wonderful.
It's the truth. It really happens, because see, these are all great acharyas who have done tremendous sadhanas in their life, and they have left books for people like us to learn. And these are all the tips which we get. And so let's move forward. Very good. I'm happy with all the discussions which we have had. Bahubhai, are you there? Usually he has a question. That's why I'm asking. Okay. All right. Thank you and good night.
Thank you, Shekharji. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Hari Om, Shekharji.
Thank you. Hari Om.
Hari Om, sir.
Hari Om. Thank you, Akshay.